Here's the latest on Ida. Unfortunately, it has now reached that point where it has left the coast of Cuba into the Gulf of Mexico, and between now and landfall, there is nothing in its way that's going to hinder further and further intensification, likely right up to the point of landfall. But Hurricane Center has kind of changed their thinking a little bit. We'll talk about that in a moment. Because of that land interaction, we have not seen any kind of a disruption in the circulation, but the pressure came up. It's at 989. It was at 985. What that means is it has weakened a little bit. Now the winds are still at 80 miles an hour, and it still really, as I said, did not disrupt that circulation. It's starting to get that more buzzsaw look, and it's really going to look like that as it continues to the Gulf of Mexico. And something else you'll note on satellite, as kind of the clouds, the higher clouds kind of move out and away from the storm toward the north and east. That's the outflow I was talking about, and that will allow the storm to also intensify as it gets further into the Gulf of Mexico. Warm water and no wind shear, unfortunately. So becoming a Category 2 during the early morning hours of Saturday, then a 3 probably during the afternoon and evening, a 4 as we get toward early Sunday, and likely strengthening up to landfall. Now that is a change in the thinking from the Hurricane Center. They are now thinking that it will start weakening as it approaches the Louisiana coast. That would be wonderful. However, even if that does happen, it is still a dangerous and powerful major hurricane at landfall. If that is a little bit of good news, great, but it still is going to be a very dangerous storm up to the point of landfall. As far as the track goes, the computer models have been kind of honing in on south central, southeast Louisiana as a landfall, and it looks like that is definitely going to be the case. So here's when we can start to see some of that heavy rainfall. We'll have some scattered showers throughout the day tomorrow, but any of the rain really associated with Ida won't start to get here until the early morning hours of Sunday. So early morning Sunday, we'll have the strong winds and the heavy rain increasing, probably more so during the midday and throughout the afternoon and evening, with the worst part of the storm starting to make its way in during the late afternoon and evening on Sunday. Winds will start picking up as we get into late Saturday night, so you'll start to feel the winds increasing through the overnight period. And then by wake-up time, or just after that on Sunday, we'll begin to see more of that tropical storm force to near hurricane force winds near the coast during the mid-morning and into the early afternoon. And then by the late afternoon and evening is when the strongest winds move in. Again, the worst is going to be right near the center of circulation. And again, that's very interesting that the Hurricane Center is thinking it'll kind of peak at 140 winds and then actually start to taper off before landfall. That's very interesting because so far nothing we have seen would indicate that, but that is what the folks at the National Hurricane Center are saying this hour. We'll see if that continues for our 4 o'clock update overnight tonight. Storm surge still significant on the southern end of the coast, or the southern side of the coast, with 10 to 15 foot surge, and that is what's going to be coming up Terrebonne as well as Barataria Bay, flooding a lot of these areas, and all the areas outside of the levee protection system are expecting at least 3 to 6, and in some instances 9 feet above ground level. Rainfall totals, and again, this has been a very rough estimate, 8 to 12, and I do think that is on the very high side, as this should be a fairly fast-moving storm. Localized amounts of 15 or greater, certainly very much possible. The wind shear is gone. That is moving away. The steering currents look like they're pretty much locked in, with the storm taking that path right over the very deep warm water we call the oceanic heat content. This provides the energy from the storm, and it's basically got a clear path of very deep warm water all the way to the Louisiana coastline. The steering currents, as I mentioned, does look like the high is going to start building in, which is why the storm has been pushing a little bit more and trending to the west, which, again, if there's any positive for us, it would take the strongest of the winds away from us, and why likely conditions in Baton Rouge will be worse than they are going to be here. I also want to show you the 7-day forecast. I realize we have not even looked at this all day. Hurricane conditions Sunday and into early Monday, with improving conditions through the later afternoon and evening on Monday. And then for the inevitable cleanup, we'll have breezy conditions, 50% chance for scattered showers and thunderstorms Tuesday and Wednesday. And it appears we might actually see a weak front try and move through, hopefully lowering the humidity a bit for the end of next week.